Hello students, here I am KAMLESHBHAI from M.D. Patel High School Garyadar. Let us study your unit 3rd. Read first. Females for Forestry from 11th English textbook. Females for Forestry. Since time began, the natural broad-leaved forests of the Himalayas have played a significant role in the life of the people of Uttar Pradesh. In fact, the forests are the foundation of the whole economy of the hill villages. Green leaves and grass, for example, provide fodder for the animals, whose dung is used as fertilizer for the croplands. Dry twigs and branches are the only source of domestic cooking fuel. The forests also provide large supplies of fruit, edible nuts, fibers and herbs for local consumption. The forests break the flow of the seasonal rainfall that lashes the slope of this mountain range every year during the monsoon. This creates springs and ever-flowing streams which are vital for the mountain people and the animals during the hot summer month. For many years, however, large areas of these rich forest resources are getting destroyed. For example, the forests of Tehri Gadwal were exploited to supply timber for the expanding railway network in the plain. Europeans in Missouri wanted cultivation of new food crops like potatoes, leading to large-scale clearing of mixed oak forest. There was clearly a contradiction between the village people's basic need and the requirements of the state to earn money. In 1930, the people of Tehri Gadwal began a non-corporation movement called Satyagraha, a form of peaceful resistance to obtain justice in opposition to the oppressive forest laws. In that year, a large number of people were killed in Tilari by armed forces of the kingdom of Tehri Gadwal when they formed a protest meeting against official forest policy. Look at the picture. What do you notice? There are some men, women and children embracing the trees. The two men are with saws in their hands. They want to cut down the trees, but the people are protecting them. They do not allow them to do any harm to the trees as they are emotionally attached to them. It was Chipko movement to save the forest. The movement saved the green forest and protected the environment. Out of the Satyagraha movement has grown the post-independence Chipko Hug a Tree movement, in which village people have actually put the bodies around trees to stop them from being felled. This grassroots struggle against commercial cutting of the Himalayan forests of Uttar Pradesh has forced the state government to rethink its strategy. Commercial felling, in fact, is now banned above a height of 1000 meters. But there are large areas of degraded forest and the forest department has failed to reforest them. As a result, there is now a severe scarcity of animal fodder and domestic fuel and acute water shortage. The women suffer the most. In many parts of the hills, women now have to work all day to collect the daily requirements of fodder, fuel and water. Inspired by the Chipko movement, the village women have now started to manage and protect local forests to ensure their regeneration. Under the leadership of Sri Sundar Bahuguna and Sri Chandi Prasad of Tehri Gadwal district in Uttaranchal, tree lovers came forward to save the deodar forests that lie on the slope of the Himalayas. In this movement, the trees lover used to embrace the tree to save them from being cut. It was popularly known as the Chipko movement. Conservation of forests is our moral duty. Our constitution now reads, it is every citizen's fundamental duty to conserve and thereby improve forests, lakes, rivers, environment along with wildlife, and also to have compassion toward organisms. Kangad, a village of 200 families, lies at the height of 2000 meters. It is an excellent example of the way it degraded. In that year, however, the forest department decided to fell it. The village women who had to walk long distance for fuel, fodder and water were determined to save the last patch of trees. The men of Kangad, though, were offered work by the forest department to fell the trees. As a result, there was a conflict between the village men and women. After 4 months of resistance, the women succeeded in saving the forest. The women's organization, the Mahila Mangal Dal, then decided to revive the degraded forest. On the basis of the number of cattle owned by each family, contributions were raised to employ a forest guard who was paid Rs 300 per month. For 3 years, the arrangement worked well. But problems then arose. The forest guard became negligent and protection was loose. Once the women discovered this, they abolished the post and decided to guard the forest themselves. Now the Mahila Mangal Dal has assigned the duty of looking after the forest to a group of village women. The responsibility is shared among 15 women in rotation. Thus the duty of each woman comes after 15 days. As one woman said, on these days we leave our work and protect the forest because our oak trees are like our children. Once, when a migrant shepherd allowed his goat to graze in the protected forest area, the women took away the goats and fined the shepherd rupees 200. Villagers themselves are fined up to rupees 100 for cutting trees for firewood. Thanks to nature and thanks to the strength of women, the mixed natural oak forests are now recovering in all parts of Gatwal. But the women still have to be very vigilant. In 1980, for example, the Mahila Mangal Dal agreed to help the forest department in tree planting. They had dug 15,000 pits, but then they found that the department was only interested in planting poplars. The women refused to allow the planting of the poplar, which is a foreign commercial tree. Instead, they forced the forest department to plant different kinds of indigenous fodder trees that would benefit them directly. Thus, the natural forests are now regenerating in the hilly areas in many parts of Uttar Pradesh. In addition to supporting local agriculture and animal husbandry, the regenerated forests have reduced the intensity of floods and soil erosion and have ensured a permanent water supply. The practice of community protection of forests has spread to many neighboring villages. In fact, this is probably the only effective way to tackle this terribly urgent national task.